Welcome to the Creative Conversations Podcast. I'm your host, Briana Elmore, and today we have another amazing creative human friend, Taylor Brooks. She is an accomplished producer, singer, actress, and writer. And today we are about to be dropping gems on gems. And I'm so excited to share her with you guys today. So without further ado, here is Miss Taylor Brooks.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here. You are amazing at everything as well.
I'm so excited to have you. Like, listen, y'all, we got this creative roster is something serious at this point. And so I'm so excited to have you here. So excited to know you and all that good stuff. And I'm very excited to share you with the audience for this podcast. So give us a little bit about your journey and how we got all them hyphens in that multi-hyphenate title.
So I've been performing since I could literally walk or talk or anything. I've been in the little school productions since, pre-K. And I really found my love and passion for the performing arts then. And as I got older and I learned the other side of the plays and seeing how things were put together. And then when I got into middle school, I got into journalism. And so I was working with cameras. And so I went to college and I've tried to do journalism, but we didn't have a journalism program. So I ended up being in just the film sphere. And and I kind of made the shift from being only in front of the camera to being behind it and learning how to shoot things. And I really fell in love with producing because it's great to know how to, use the camera and the lights and everything, but it is so much more fun to hire people who are amazing at it and just run it. And so I kind of.
But listen, make no mistake, you are amazing at both. Let's be clear. So I'm sure it's got different sides of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know. It's really fun. I learned that I just like, because I'm even into event planning on the side. I just like being able to see, have an idea and know what I'm looking for, how to use what other people are looking for, other creatives, and then we just see it all come together and just to plan it out. And so that's really fun for me. But so I just have a love for both sides of everything.
So my next question is in the roles that you take on, because you're not the person creating those. So how do you make those decisions to do that? Because sometimes it's okay, I think that there is sometimes lies a dilemma that the creative has to have, especially when you do performances and you take on projects that you didn't create yourself. So with that, how do you select it? Because it's it's a balancing act between getting that portfolio up and getting those experiences up so that you can eventually take on what you want to do and take on only the projects that you want, you know what I'm saying, as opposed to taking what's available. So how do you balance that? Or has there ever been a time where you don't have to name productions and people if you don't want to, but has there ever been a time where you just took a role where it was it didn't necessarily feel like you, or you wasn't all in, but you still gave it your all? Because sometimes as a creative, we still have to give it our all to showcase what we can do, but we may not be all into it. You know what I'm saying? Do that make sense?
No, I understand. Let's see. I don't know. I've luckily not had any roles that I've, auditioned for or been offered that I was absolutely no, I would never in a million years. I have, and this is, I say it with, whatever, but I've played a lot of white roles. I know for a fact that they were written for white people, but it was never anything that made me have to compromise who I am or my beliefs or anything. One thing I don't play about, I am a Christian woman. I do have a relationship with God. And one thing I'm never, ever, you will not catch it. I'm not going to be in anything that's going to disagree with what I believe in. That's just something I very strongly, and I've never auditioned for anything that's going to portray Black women in a bad light. I just don't. It can be offered to me. It would have to be, no, I was going to say it had to be so much money and so much opportunity for me to even consider, but it's not for me. I read somewhere the other day where I wouldn't put us in a position to accept something that would make us compromise who we are. And if we get in that situation, that's not for us. So I would turn it down. But no, the closest I ever had, I was in this musical, and like I said, every role I played, it's been like a white girl, and it was Community, and it was pushing it for me. Like it was very risque. It was a lot of like skin shown. It was a lot of like these racial undertones because not racial. It was like culture because it was like based on a Jewish community. It was just a lot. And I really had to think every time I went to rehearsal, like, are you comfortable with this? Is this something? Because the musical is it's like a political stance. Like it's not, these are your views, but I was just like, this is the character you're playing. This is how you're going to be perceived. Are you okay with that? And I ended up not being in it, not for my choice. Like it wasn't my decision to not continue on with it, but it was something that I really had to truly think about. And as a background actress, it's funny, they ask you, what are you willing to do? Like, are you okay with nudity? Are you okay with this, that, and the other? And I really had to sit here with myself, like, how bad? How bad do you want to make it? And I accidentally, like, I left like partial nudity or something on there, and I got a call for something, and I really thought I was going to have to do it. And I was like, oh no. And I took it off there expeditiously. I luckily did not have to, but I just learned that if I'm not comfortable with it, I'm not going to do well with it. And so like, let's not, all not waste our time because we can just not do it. And so eventually, of course, I'll get to a position where I can just pick and choose what I want to do, but I just like to not put myself in situations where I would have to make that decision in the first place.
Yeah, and that makes sense to me too, because it's like okay, it's always like a give and take on like how far am I willing to go, and then he's like, and then you say, okay, this is it, and then you draw your line in the sand, and then something be like, okay, well you can do this, but then do like a little bit of that, and then just continue to push your boundaries. So, what would you say to someone that has to establish those boundaries and like just say like, listen, I know you want to do that, but you got to know like an opportunity that doesn't make you feel comfortable, it may not be the right opportunity, or one that doesn't come along in the right way or present itself in the right way, or it make you feel safe in the right ways that may not be the right thing to take on. Like, what would you say to the creative that's kind of battling that and figuring out like where their line in the sand is? Because you said, listen, the nudity, and then they act, and then you said partial, and then they were like, okay, we'll do partial. It's like, I was just playing.
Actually, no, I think with boundaries, the most important thing is to know, first of all, what you want, what your values are up front. Because if you don't know, then like with that, I was like, I think I'm okay with partial nudity until I realized I really wasn't. And so first starting off with yourself, knowing what you will and will not do or accept, and making that boundary, because you can think it all you want to, but if you don't actually apply it, it's going to get trampled all over. People will push it. They'll try to figure it out. And if you're not sure, you'll allow it until it's too late. So that's number one. And then number two, just sticking firm in the fact that like, whether you're religious or not, or whatever you believe in, your big shot is not going to rely on you betraying yourself. It's just not. If it's for you, it's going to be for you. And okay, so there's a difference between being uncomfortable because it's out of your comfort zone and being uncomfortable because this betrays everything that you are. And so the more you know who you are, the more you distinguish between the two,